Welcome to Nature's Wild Side. I'm your storm-loving host, Nathan Leanos, digging deep into what triggers disasters, exploring their impact, and celebrating the heroes who rise above. In this episode, we're going to explore my personal favorite storm, the Joplin tornado. We're going to dive right into what happened to lead up to this special disaster and what conditions caused it to be so deadly. And don't forget about the people who, in stressful situations, rose above everything else to save lives. I'm your storm-loving host, Nathan Leanos. Now let's get into this. So first of all, if we want to understand what happened, first we need to know how a tornado happens. The first ingredient to make this super strong brew is the supercells. The supercell is a storm that has a consistently spinning updraft, so it's going a lot. And then you need a sudden change in the wind direction. So if it's going this way, it needs to quickly change. This will make air on the ground roll like a wheel. Next, the storm will pick up warm air from the ground to feed it. That's how storms work. And this will grab that rolling tube of air, making a large pillar up to the cloud. And once this pillar is established, it will start sucking up clouds from the storm. And once those clouds touch the ground, well, we have a tornado. And now that we understand how a tornado works, we can tell the events during May 22nd, 2011 that made this storm particularly powerful. The day before May 22nd, an area of low pressure had centered on top of South Dakota, so it was just right there in the middle. Next, this made it very easy for supercells to form that day, but tornadoes were supposed to remain isolated. One thing that was expected was the large hail. But at 8 a.m., the National Weather Service sent out a slight risk of tornadoes. But in the morning of May 22nd, forecasters soon realized that this was going to be intense. So they enhanced the tornado list to moderate. The system was forecasted to evolve into an early wave. Monday morning, later that day, a cold front was supposed to pass through. Also, a dry line was going to intersect that cold front. This made conditions very likely that a strong storm was going to form along the cold front. But at 11:30 a.m., they were more certain that a major weather event would happen later that day. So they issued a public severe weather warning. Expected tornadoes, large hail, and strong winds later that afternoon. 4 hours before the tornado, they issued a tornado watch that would last until 9 p.m. for southwest Missouri, where it happened. They expected lots of thunderstorms, big ones too, to form and for them to make tornadoes. The thunderstorms that made the Joplin tornado were in Kansas forming, but at about 2 to 3 p.m., they quickly got strong and moved to Missouri. Forecasters later became more convinced that a tornado was coming. So a tornado warning was issued west of Joplin at 5:17 p.m., 19 minutes before that tornado came into Joplin. Now that we know what conditions this day made, now we can enter Joplin and see what damage this tornado really caused. First of all, when the sirens did go off though, in Joplin, not a lot of residents listened. Why? Because in the past, many sirens have went off before, but it was like small tornadoes or no tornado. So they thought this was going to be the same thing. This fact helped the tornado be just that more deadly. But just before this tornado decided to roll into Joplin, it had sustained EF4 damage. That's before it even got to Joplin, as it crossed as a street. By 8:38 p.m., it was a massive wedge tornado. It was rain-wrapped as well, so many people did not see it. Many homes, businesses, and medical buildings were flattened in southern Joplin. Concrete walls were just destroyed. Foundations were crushed because of the storm. Many cars were thrown around and mangled up with trees. Also, those concrete blocks in parking lots that are supposed to stop you, they really don't. Yeah, those things, they were ripped out the ground, sent flying with that metal part attaching them too. Later on, that damage was everywhere and horrible. At St. John's Medical Center, they lost almost all of their windows on 3 buildings of the roof. That helicopter on the roof blew away and mangled up with everything else. Because of the damage, the winds were estimated at around 200 miles per hour. This is a very fast tornado. As it exited Joplin, it weakened, but it could still throw off cars. Later, the damage went to an EF2 as it weakened. We just went through Joplin to explore what damage this tornado could do. But now it's time to look how humans handle the situation, even in the face of death. The first story, which is a very popular one, that we are going to go over is that Pizza Hut manager who saved 18 people. So the Pizza Hut owner, Christopher Lucas, first saw the tornado and he immediately called his girlfriend to tell her that he loves her. After that, he grabs all the customers and employees and puts them in the walk-in freezer. After, he used a strap to lock the door. Well, the door came loose, so what did he do? He grabbed onto it and pulled it himself to keep the door shut. And he was able to hold it for a while, but when the door broke, taking him with it. But everyone inside survived. Lastly, we have Mark Lindecourse, I think, sorry if I butchered that, who risked his life to save 3 disabled people. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find a lot of information about him, but I know that while saving him, the tornado picked him up and threw him a block away, breaking all his ribs and destroying his shoulder right here. Also, he worked with him, but unfortunately, the 3 did not survive, because this behemoth does not care even if you're young or old. This is Nathan Lianos, and this is the first episode of Nature's Wild Side. If you like this podcast, stay tuned for more.